What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's time for another Sources Say on the Ringer NBA show. I'm Juliet Litman.
I'm Chris Ryan.
Fight, 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 fight. Are we allowed to celebrate fights?
Are we allowed to? Did we come to this podcast studio through a secret hallway?
I wish I had. That would have been really fun. Instead, it was just a very well-known elevator.
You're kind of. How many secret passages surround Staples Center?
A lot. At least now that I know of, like, minimum
It's
two.
like a World War II bunker.
Well, there's wherever Kobe landed his helicopter and then took the elevator down in a secret
So
tunnel
there's a
into the
Ritz-Carlton
stadium.
to Staples passageway
Yes.
we think about.
Yes,
right.
There definitely is, and that's also where a lot of visiting NBA teams stay.
Right.
So then they can take the underground tunnel there. Now we know there's tunnels between the Clippers locker room and the visitor locker room. What shade by the Lakers to stuff the Clippers in a room that's not even private?
There's been a lot of shade going on with different stadium facilities stuff going on, because like they also had the Warriors Cavs, like the Warriors showers were really cold.
Yes.
And they were like, you could hear them screaming.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Why aren't there more pranks on the visiting team?
But in terms of the Staples Center thing, I think that Jeannie Buss should take on infrastructure. And she should build a underground monorail from Staples to like either WeHo or the coast, so that people can stay at Shutters,
Sure,
or they could stay
to the
out on the
coast.
beach, or even if they just want to stay at the Beverly Hilton or whatever, they don't have to deal with traffic on Olympic or
What
whatever.
Jeannie should be doing is helping move more quickly the like rail building here in LA.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we need to get a meeting between Mayor Eric Garcetti and Jeannie Buss on the books. But for now, let's deep dive into the fights that have happened in the NBA this week.
The 90s are back.
The 90s are back, baby, in so many ways.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Cardi B and Bruno Mars. And
The assassination of Gianni Versace.
the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Set in 90s.
We got crop tops. It's just all happening.
And we got guys throwing blows.
Throwing
so
blows.
I have
Last
like
night-
a slight theory about all this, but we can update
begin,
everybody.
Let's
yeah.
begin with last night's fight.
Mhm.
Tuesday night, we had a Wolves versus Magic game, in which the Wolves lost, which is ridiculous. And Aaron Aflalo was in a headlock.
Because he threw a punch that
Threw a
connected
punch.
on Bajilka.
He missed.
Well, how do you say that guy's name?
I have no idea.
See, that's
part of the issue.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say names I can't pronounce. It's a
You know who
personal
also
rule.
might have a hard time pronouncing his name? Carl Towns, because he didn't seem to think that he was his teammate, because Carl was just like watching this happen. He was not getting involved in this at all.
Interesting note about Carl Towns. I noticed today Kevin Durant announced he's like helping his fellow NBA players and other athletes like find YouTube fame.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't involve any Logan Paul style stunts. That would not be wise. But one of them that he's helping is Karl Anthony Towns. This was not on our rundown, but like his list of athletes that he's working with is JaVale McGee. He's already doing the Parking Lot Chronicles with him.
Okay.
Richard Sherman. That makes sense to me. And then this Towns and Durant kind of makes sense to me as well. They're just like two kind of aloof dudes that are really good.
When you say helping,
yes.
what do you mean? Like he's putting up money, he's acting as the executive producer go-between
Those
YouTube
two.
and those players?
I think that Towns, Sherman, and McGee will leverage the connections and infrastructure that Kevin Durant has built for himself for his own YouTube.
Where you can watch him
videos.
getting a haircut
Yeah, watch him getting a
and
haircut.
seeing Gordon Hayward get hurt.
Yes, see Gordon Hayward. Exactly.
Remember that? That was like one of those videos, right? It's
Yeah.
like him getting a haircut when Gordon
Opening
Hayward
night.
gets hurt. Yeah.
Totally. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So he's like taking these players in.
So what's Towns's
I don't know, man. He's really into his girlfriend.
Yeah,
Kara.
but like is it going to be about love? Is it going to be about like
I
Carl
don't-
Towns and his girlfriend?
Have you ever heard Towns like speak like in an interview? Like,
Yeah, I have,
he's
because I've been really into watching Timberwolves post-game interviews in the locker room, because Jimmy Butler is constantly clowning Towns when he's
Right.
getting interviewed.
It's awesome because Towns takes himself really fucking seriously.
Mhm.
He's just like, well, this is like the craft of basketball.
Right.
And kind
And
of,
then
to be
Jimmy
honest,
Butler turns Thomas Red up to 11 and is like, shut up!
Yes. Anyway, it makes sense to me that Towns and Durant would align, but that's
Okay.
kind of besides the point. So last night, Towns did not align himself with his teammate. He just sort of like watched this fight happen and sort of like stayed far away from it, which good move or bad move? Like, is that what Carl Towns should be doing?
It did escalate really fast,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes there were like I've been in bars where there have been fights, and like you just are like, wait, what's happening?
Right.
But you do definitely know when it does start happening, and you kind of have like that immediate fight or flight impulse. And it's just kind of like, as far as my understanding of it goes, you're just supposed to get your teammates back.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like he got involved in it at all. And when Bielika was on the sideline, Towns was kind of like just like quizzically staring at him like he had never seen a man who had been in a fight before. And I was just kind of like, get your head out of your ass. Like, what are you doing?
Towns seemed soft.
But there was that fight. And then, of course, we had the
night before.
The Clippers-Rockets fight. And there was, low-key, it wasn't a fight, but it was pretty passionate. It was Ben Simmons and Kyle Lowry. I feel like this one kind of got swept under the rug. But Kyle Lowry was like, I went looking for Ben Simmons.
Yes.
Yeah, and Ben Simmons was like, come find me.
I like it. Who do you pick in that fight?
I feel like as an aged man, I have to go with Kyle Lowry.
I pick Lowry. Simmons obviously has the size advantage.
He's got the reach. Yeah.
I just feel like Lowry is like, you just don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
I happen to love Kyle Lowry.
So I kind of was curious, like, is it 3 makes a trend? Do we have to discuss why this is happening?
Yeah. Well,
okay, you want to hear my theory?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think that there's this other narrative going on right now about the players versus the refs, and how the relationship between the players and the refs has never been this bad. And you've got Draymond and Carmelo and Durant talking about just like, I think Melo is like, I don't even want to talk about those guys. I just have like no respect for them.
Yeah, because Russ got ejected.
Right.
And after that, Melo, in getting his teammates back, was like, I'm done with the refs. I don't respect them.
So
like,
I think that part of the problem, each one's obviously separate, but especially in that Rockets-Clippers game, I feel like the refs really lost control of the game.
They did.
Like, I feel like nobody needed to get tossed as much as the refs needed to like probably stop things when D'Antoni and Blake were getting into it, and just be like, what's going on, guys? Like, everybody needs to chill out, go back to your corner.
Why is there no video of Blake bumping D'Antoni? There's got to be video of that.
There's video.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, he didn't hit him, quote unquote.
He just like bumped him. So he's walking right down the court.
He was saying that there was reports that Blake was angry because he felt like D'Antoni was out of his like technical area, like where he's supposed to stand, and that he like kind of hit him to be like, so you're not supposed to stand there.
Yeah.
So like that's what happens if you keep doing that. And then D'Antoni flipped out at Blake. But the real issue seems to be more that Pat Beverly and Austin Rivers were screaming and trash talking from the bench.
Right. And Ariza got really pissed about
I want it known. I endorse all of this.
I do too.
It's an extremely entertaining element.
No injuries, no one's hurt. Yeah. All good.
No one gets arrested. Aflalo is definitely getting suspended.
Definitely.
I know Ariza might get suspended because it sounds like Ariza was the one who was the most aggressive after the game in terms of like Woj reports. It's just that he has been singled out as the person who was trying to get into the Clippers locker room, and that Harden and Paul were trying to stop him.
Right. Initially, there was the infamous incorrect report from Ashley Brewer. Sorry to her. R.I.P. her mentions. Where she incorrectly said that Harden and Paul were fighting each other. And then Woj just swooped in and totally dunked on her and was like, no, what actually happened was Ariza and Co. went into the Clippers locker room to confront Austin Rivers. And then there was another, and then it sounds like it sounds like Harden and Paul were trying to stop Ariza. But meanwhile, there was another report that Chris Paul went to the Clippers locker room to confront Blake. And Chris Paul, given his knowledge of Staples, having been on the Clippers for 4 seasons.
It's 5 seasons, I think.
He
6.
It was when we were at Grantland. It was the trade that got nixed and then redone.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
It was 2000. Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah.
I never forget, and neither Grantland nor the trade. And so he using his intimate knowledge, knew all of the roots. He was an infiltrator. It was like he was in World War II or something. He was like, a Marquis de Lafayette, perhaps. and so there just was a lot of wild information. And this is also coming after. Wasn't there another tunnel fight like last week or so with I forget who it was, but there was another one. Where
there was the Boogie one earlier in the season, I think, with KD, right?
There
was that infamous picture of Boogie being held back by 3 security guards, and Justin was telling us, Verrier was telling us that like
narrow hallways.
It's narrow in there. Like if Boogie wants to get into a room, like he could probably do it. What do you think is behind all this? Do you think it's just like New Year blues? Everybody's depressed after the holidays?
I think with a lot of transactions from this past postseason, there are agendas and vendettas to be addressed. I think that there's a lot of chippiness because there's a lot of opportunity for different teams. Like Gonz and I talked about this on Monday. Other than the top 3 in the West, like 4 through 8 is really close. 4 through 10 is close, really.
Yeah.
So like every game kind of matters when there's not really the separation. And I think that there's just a lot of like, it's a good season. Like, is that a cop out thing to say? But there's just like, there's a lot on the line. Like, a lot of teams feel like this is an opportunity in the East. Like for the Raptors, they really have a chance to go to the conference finals, and like they are competitive against the Cavs now. So like, it's just a little bit of a shifting of
And the
power.
Sixers don't want to be treated like doormats. And you've got guys like Embiid who are like kind of taunting a lot of players who've been in the league maybe a little bit longer,
Sure.
like Drummond or whatever. Like, I think that there does seem to be a little bit of a generational shift. We talk all the time about like the unicorns and stuff like that, but even something as not minor, but you can even see it in this Isaiah Thomas Celtics situation.
Sure.
So this is another thing that's been happening this week is, and I actually, this is a bizarre story that this is like had this much legs.
I have a theory on this.
Okay.
Explain what's going on.
So Isaiah Thomas obviously had a tempestuous exit from Boston. He was traded after playing through the playoffs, gets really injured during the playoffs in the Washington series, I think, right?
Yeah.
He'd been injured a few times. His hip screwed up. He had had mouth surgery to fix teeth that had gotten knocked out and stuff. Obviously, he was traded for Kyrie Irving over the summer. Some people felt like, including Isaiah Thomas, felt like that was like disrespectful to him for what he had done for the franchise and laying his body on the line. And he'd even gone on to say later on, if I had known I wasn't going to be in Boston, I wouldn't have kind of overextended myself in the playoffs, for the Celtics.
He said I would not have played in the conference finals.
Yes. And since then, there's been a lot of like, Danny, that was screwed up. Like, I didn't like the way that was handled, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't even know if he asked for it or if Boston offered it as like a make good or something, but there was going to be some sort of video tribute to Isaiah when he played Boston again. And it just so turned out that video tribute was supposed to happen on the same night as Paul Pierce's retirement. But not his jersey retirement? His jersey retirement.
Yeah.
His jersey retirement.
I believe it's February 12th. That's when the Cavs are the Celtics.
And today, Jackie McMullen and Chris Forsberg put up a piece that basically went into like really candid detail about this whole saga with quotes from Pierce, who works at ESPN with Jackie McMullen and Chris Forsberg, talking about how he was like deeply offended that Isaiah was going to be like that he wasn't cool with it. And Danny had sort of asked and been like, I feel bad about how this trade went down. Do you mind if we do the video tribute to Isaiah on your retirement night? And not only did Pierce have a problem with it, but then they wrangle in Rondo, who's like really like off the top rope about this, and a secondhand Kevin Garnett quote, and Tony Allen, all talking about how like, who's Isaiah Thomas? What has he done for this franchise? We don't celebrate conference championships here. We only hang banners for finals and, like all this stuff about it. And it was kind of like, it just makes the whole situation kind of sad.
The whole thing is weird, but I think there's a lot of competing agendas at work here.
Okay, let's hear them.
First of all, this is a Sunday showcase game. It's at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. So sure, one thing ESPN has really mastered is promoting their own games.
And drumming up
interest for the games that they're broadcasting.
Right.
So you have all these people who have associations with ESPN contributing to this piece. That seems natural to me.
Yeah.
And second of all, everything we know about how Isaiah Thomas feels about his trade and how things went down to the Celtics comes from one source, Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
And I like his candor. I like Isaiah Thomas. I hope that he gets back to his full speed. But, like, he keeps this storyline alive himself. We keep talking about Isaiah Thomas because Isaiah Thomas is talking about Isaiah Thomas.
Sure. Okay. Counterpoint.
Okay.
What NBA player doesn't do that to some extent or another?
I think that Kevin Durant shied away from this more last year. I mean, of course, he was, like, more on the
from the Russ stuff?
Yeah. But he also was more like, if you think there's a right and a wrong, KD was like,
yeah, it's like Kyrie doesn't get asked about Isaiah Thomas all the time. He's kind of ducked it. I mean, he's obviously had his own controversies this year.
But he wants to move on.
Yeah.
I just think that there's sort of like a relitigating that's just like constant, in part because Isaiah Thomas is a part of it. And I don't blame him for it, but it's also like, I don't like mean to be anti-Isaiah Thomas. I really like him, and he's really fun to watch. He makes even the Cavs are having like a slide right now. They're way more interesting with IT back than they were 3 weeks ago.
Yes, they're way worse too.
Yes, and way worse. But like, I'm just saying, this is not like, why are we talking about this? We're talking about it because IT is talking about it.
I'm so through the looking glass on this because I also, there's this whole phenomenon now where like people just go up to LeBron and like list trending topics
Sure.
and get him to weigh in on them. So I can't really blame Isaiah for people. I guess I understand what you're saying. If Isaiah is the one who's just like, just so you guys know,
I wouldn't have played.
Yeah. And also he's doing it now. So this kind of ties into the Cavs slide.
And he also was like, just so you guys know, I asked the Celtics to not play a video for me 2 weeks ago.
Yes. And we've also got sort of a larger story than the Celtics retirement thing is the almost annual collapse of the Cavs that happens usually around this time. This is around the time when David Black got fired a couple years ago. And there was a piece in The Athletic, a piece on Cleveland.com, and a piece on ESPN, all acknowledging each other. Bill and Zach talked about this yesterday on Zach's pod. And also we did a piece on it today where it was a very strange thing. All of these pieces
really
acknowledged
strange.
that the other outlets had, I think, the same sources.
Yes.
They're like, in some places it was described as multiple prominent players. In some places it was described as marquee players. You can kind of shrink that number down to Wade, Love, LeBron, or Isaiah, I guess, are the marquee players there. And they were just basically like, we don't know if we can flip the switch this year, that we're just bad on defense and, we're slow and we're obviously not clicking right now. And now, the other thing about that is I think it's in Joe Varden's piece.
It's Joe Varden.
Isaiah is making sure that almost every day, everybody around the team is aware that the reason why he sucks right now is because he's not getting to practice because the Cavs don't practice.
Right. Which I was like, why don't the Cavs practice? Then I was like, oh, right, no team practice in the middle of the season.
Okay, that's fine. I think that's fine, but it speaks to kind of why the Cavs have to rely on talent over system in compared to like Boston and San Antonio. Like San Antonio has no business being as good as they are, except they have a really good system.
Right.
Like talent-wise, Kawhi hasn't played this year. LaMarcus is good, but he's LaMarcus. And otherwise, they have a lot of young kids and scrap heap guys, and they keep it going.
That's true. Also, the Spurs have continuity, which the Cavs do not. Like,
right.
In Boston has a whole new team, and I guess they practice.
Well, the continuity is Brad, and the continuity is what Brad says, and the rotation Brad makes, and the decisions that Brad makes is what goes. And the same thing goes for the Spurs. Right. It's like Popovich and that staff decide how they play. Even if they decide we're going to play more through LaMarcus, there's a style of play that they have there. In Cleveland, I can't really tell you like what Cleveland plays like. They play like a LeBron team, I guess, but a less athletic version of one. But they were much better when Kevin Love was the second option. They were much better when Kevin Love was getting involved in different ways on offense, and now he's standing in the corner again.
The weirdest ththing is when Dwayne Wade tries to take over. Like, that's the weirdest moment of every Cavs game, where Dwayne Wade forgets that he's not as...
That he's 35? Yeah, right.
Today's his birthday.
Happy birthday to you, Wade.
It happened.
One half of our favorite NBA couple.
Yeah. Oh, God, they're so great. I freaking love Gab you.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you're going to be able to get over your no horror rule to watch the Gabrielle Union home invasion thriller?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I'll get too scared. But I am going to start watching Being Mary Jane from the beginning. Okay. I saw that's on Hulu, so I'm excited. I just think that also Isaiah is preparing himself to go to a different team or leaving that option open. He just, I both admire it and find it tiresome where he's really controlling his own narrative this season. Like, he's making it clear that he feels Boston did him wrong, which he's completely entitled to, and I understand that. And he's also making it clear that that it's not for his own lack of effort that he's not playing as well as he could. And that to me indicates that he doesn't plan on being there for very long, or with this group of guys on the Cavs for very long.
Yes, this is that's the question that looms over the Cavs.
While we're on the topic of the Cavs, trade rumor that's going around is DeAndre to the Cavs.
I think it's a disaster. Apparently the Cavs are convinced that they need big men.
Right. And so Woj says they're targeting Derek Favors, and Ryan Russillo is like they're only targeting someone like Boogie. Yeah. So do you think either moves the needle? I
think
Boogie
would. Boogie is like a really difficult personality, but like the numbers don't lie with Boogie. I mean, I watched, like, there are compilations of clips of Boogie quitting on plays, and there was a photo I think last night of like, it was like Anthony Davis trying to block a shot and like 3 other Pelicans playing defense, and you can see in the background of like, it's like Lawrence of Arabia. It's like Lawrence riding across the desert on a camel. It's like Boogie all the way in the background at the other end of the floor, not getting back on defense. And quietly, the Pelicans are like a mid-conference seed right now.
Right. They beat the Celtics.
But if the Pelicans feel like the Boogie's not going to come back,
then
and they can get the Brooklyn pick for him, like Brooklyn and Tristan Thompson, who you can control, would you have to trade Kevin Love for Boogie? I don't know.
I think you might have to. Boogie's really good. But one of the rumors is Brooklyn pick and Tristan Thompson for DeAndre Jordan.
Yes.
Which just seems like a horrible move.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
Whatever. Congratulations are in order. There's now Jayson Tatum Jr.
If I had a kazoo, I would blow it.
Born last week.
Yeah.
I've heard that he's been dating a girl on and off, and that is with whom that he had a baby. I love Jayson Tatum. Congratulations.
That's it? That's your take?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't have the time to do my Instagram deep dive, but I'm pretty sure I can figure out who the
Is it a rumor that he had a baby?
No. No, he posted a photo of himself with the baby.
Did you say it's a rumor?
No, that I heard that he's been dating a girl on and off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who the mom is yet is the point.
Right.
And I as a Jayson Tatum supporter, I'd like to know.
Right. So Jayson Tatum is sort of the male basketball January Jones.
Yes, exactly. He is the JJ.
Yeah.
She could be on the J team
January
as well.
Jalen and Jason is definitely a show I would watch. If it was just like a talk show, like a chat show.
3 J's and a couple of babies.
The new McLaughlin group.
Oh, wow. The new sports reporters or something like that. I don't know. I'm so in the tank for Jayson Tatum. So all Jayson Tatum news is like very important to me.
There's not a lot of it.
No, there's not. I will say that's like true about most of the contenders. Not a lot of hot goss out there.
Well, also weirdly boring rookie class.
I was really disappointed we didn't get any like club photos of either the Celtics or the Sixers in London.
Yeah.
They got some fun nightlife there.
They did a lot of
club
sightseeing.
Or pub.
A lot of sightseeing. Markel and Joel seem to hang out a lot.
And Justin Anderson.
Yeah.
The only person hanging out with Markel is Joel, as far as I could tell. Everyone watched Markel, silent film on The Ringer today.
Thanks, Juliet.
It's excellent. It's his finest acting yet.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. It is a boring rookie class. Other than Markel being troubled, we don't have a lot going on. That's why I was so excited that Jayson Tatum had a baby.
Like Lonzo could be so much worse. You know, when you think about what's happening around him, and he just basically like plays 3 or 4 games, and then he has like a weird injury that kind of nags him for 2 days, and then he's back, and then he's gone.
Glad you brought him up. Yesterday
good.
On Instagram, there was like some fun videos of Kuz. By the way, the Utah basketball team was wearing Kuzmania shirts for warm-up shirts when they were playing in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. So Kuz, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo went to the movies. Like they're on the road right now, like in Memphis or something, and they went to see like a horror movie. Too scary, so the name didn't register with me. And they were like roasting each other, and it was very funny. And it was like, oh, cool. Like Lonzo has friends. That's great. You know, his brothers are far away, so he's forced to interact with his teammates. Seems happy. Maybe these guys like each other. And then it turned out it was SpawnCon. Like they basically were like paid to go to the movies in the middle of the day.
To go see Slender Man?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's like, is a team that SpawnCons together stays together? Like, is that the new saying? Was
the Sojourner Truth bit also SpawnCon?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it was.
I didn't think so either.
But I wonder if these baby Lakers like each other or not. And it's, you know, just. And if they do, does that mean?
I bet they like each other. I bet it's a similar thing with like the Cavs, where it's like, are we really going to be together?
Yeah. Is this lasting?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think those 3 probably will be, and maybe the rest will not.
Lonzo, Kuzma, and
Ingram. Yeah.
Okay.
I just also like seeing Ingram have some personality.
Yes. Yeah.
So get involved in that roasting. Why not?
Speaking of Los Angeles.
Hot report in the LA Times yesterday. Are you familiar with the hot property column?
I am, because I share an office with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my faves. It tracks like celebrity real estate over the summer. It had all the info on Chandler Parsons' new Bel Air home.
I was recently using it to look at Anthony Hopkins' Point Doom estate.
Oh, nice. How was it?
Lovely.
So yesterday they had a story about Chris Paul selling a home in Woodland Hills. It was like for $1.something million.
It's in the Valley.
In the Valley.
Yeah.
As Arash Markazi pointed out on Twitter, it's where many porn stars live.
Not at Chris Paul's house.
Not at Chris Paul's.
Valley.
In the Valley.
Yeah.
In Woodland Hills.
Yes.
In the Valley. Shout out to Arash, one of my faves. And I was just befuddled. It was clearly a home that they had not done any work in, and it was in Woodland Hills. It had just incredibly garish bathrooms.
The marble was pretty bad.
The countertops were the property brothers would not have approved. And I was shocked.
Did have an open floor plan, though, it seemed.
Which, if you listen to Jam Session, you know I do not approve of.
I know.
Too much noise
I also
bleed.
share an office with you.
Way too much noise bleed in that bad boy. And so I was really like concerned about what Chris Paul was doing with his home decorating. Like, you have access to a designer, interior decorator. Like, get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Bill reminded me that he had actually lived in Bel Air. So this was more likely like a home for like his brother, who was his manager, or perhaps his parents or something.
Right.
And his Bel Air home sold for like $11 million. And that was also really nice. But I learned that Chris Paul is really into dark wood floors and marble countertops from the 90s and dark paint in the bathroom, which I find very weird.
I thought that the thing that jumped out at me about the San Fernando place was its similarity to the settings and lodgings in the State Farm ads and like how life imitates art.
Interesting. I could see if I were Chris Paul, I'd be like, can we just film this at my house? Like, I don't feel like going somewhere. I'd be like, just come to me.
Yeah, it depends on whether he'd be private about, like, I don't want anybody to see the inside of my home or be able to, like, sort of figure it out.
Maybe he always knew he was moving and he was leaving.
Damn,
and he was just
world.
like, wow, I'm out. I don't care.
Yeah.
Film my home. Do what you will. Doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, when they did that ESPN doc, which I don't feel like we've even properly processed.
It was one of the weirdest things that's happened
Which
this
is
season.
Chris Paul.
It's like a 4-part miniseries online.
Jay-Z.
Bob Iger.
And then who was the other person in the studio with them? Wasn't it like No ID or a producer or something like that?
His brother was there, who he's like pretty.
And it's just like Chris Paul trying to decide what he's going to do. But it came out like way after the fact. And it was really black and white. It's really arty. And then it's like kind of like if you're going to plan this, it sort of means that you're not going back to the Clippers. Like, you just don't make a film like that to be like, and I've decided to stay in Los Angeles.
Definitely not. It's
also very interesting because Jay-Z is obviously nominally a sports agent himself, and yet Chris Paul, I believe, is with CAA, right?
Yeah, but Rock Nation's part of CAA.
Oh, so Jay-Z wasn't like a conflict of interest.
No, it's same agency. So that makes sense. But Chris Paul is with Leon Rose. I believe he's not Rock Nation.
Yeah.
Other news I just wanted to share you in on.
Sure.
Nina Marie Westbrook, my favorite wag.
Mm-hmm.
She had her birthday trip in Cabo this past weekend.
Anybody famous go with her?
So it seems like her best NBA wag friend is Cole Aldrich's wife.
Oh, I thought it was Mrs. Collison.
I think that she is good friends with her as well, but she's really tight with Cole Aldrich's wife, which I just find like interesting.
Is Cole Aldrich on the Timberwolves or on the Thunder?
I think he's out of the NBA.
Okay.
I think for a minute he was on the Thunder.
I thought he was.
Might be an LA
on the
thing.
Wolves.
Might be. He was also on the Clippers at one point,
okay.
Wasn't he? I think it's an LA thing more than anything else because they're from LA. But I just found that fascinating. I was very intrigued.
Do you think we'll have any more fights this week?
I'm waiting on a Giannis fight. You know it's coming.
Yeah, Dark Giannis rising.
Dark Giannis is back. He popcorned his rookie's car. I'm positive it's going to happen. So it's just a matter of really when. Who else?
I feel like the Sixers like get chippy. I feel like someone, like we talked earlier in the year, I feel like somebody's going to take a shot at Joel. Just shove him at least.
It's surprising it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Like if I'm Willie Reed, like, yes, I'm a like veteran, like journeyman player, but if Joel's like disrespecting me like that, like, do I shove him next time we play?
I would like a Giannis Joel fight. That would be my platonic ideal.
Two unicorns colliding.
Yeah, but hopefully no one gets hurt. They don't like land any blows. I don't want it to affect the season.
Yeah,
I like the drama.
Yeah,
I come to the NBA for not only basketball, for entertainment as well. Could we get some all-star fights? Do you think?
It's gonna be an interesting all-star game.
What are we gonna do if they don't televise this draft? Like, what do we do? Do you think
they're
protest?
Not televising the draft so that everyone can do their like we did our own draft? Is it like really Adam Silver's gift to content creators?
I'm very curious about the type of like negotiation that goes on with the.
Very telling that Katie was like, I don't want any part of having to pick. And Steph was like, I got it. What's up with Steph?
I'm fucking loving Steph. Oh my God. I feel like a new person. You know, I was just talking to our friend Rembert Brown this morning, and I was like, I just feel like my personal prism through which I see the world has adjusted ever so slightly. And
really?
Yes. And I was like, part of it is I love Steph Curry now. I used to think he was so boring, but you know what? That guy's got a ton of personality. He got kneed in the groin by LeBron James and then summarily hit a 3 and patted LeBron on the butt, which I loved. Like, just that was amazing. And he's just coming out of his shell. He's got that weird commercial that's not the Brita one.
The Brita one.
No, not the Brita. Yeah, the other one that's like Steph Curry in a hurry or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's really weird. And he's like just really, he's fun now.
Okay.
2 MVPs and 2 championships later.
And he's like, I'll pick the All-Star game. I'll pick the All-Star team.
I'm really into it.
Yeah. I think it's he doesn't take any of that shit seriously. It's like Katie is like, I wanted to go to Vegas. That was like when I imagined us winning a championship. I was like thinking about the Vegas trip we'll take. And when I saw pictures of the Warriors in Vegas, I was like, I got to go to Golden State because that way I can go to Vegas on a chance. Like you can go to Vegas every night of your life if you want to. You're Kevin Durant.
Seriously, not very far from Oakland.
Seriously. And then, but Steph did not go.
No.
Opted out.
He's like, I don't need it.
And I think I like that he's sort of like I've won some rings and I've won MVPs and I'm ready.
Steph's about getting buckets.
Yeah.
I like it. I will say, watching Cavs Warriors this week, you're like, right, this is why KD's on this team. He's the kill shot.
Yeah, I know.
He brings it on home.
But we have to keep ourselves interested. I refuse to I refuse to give up on the NBA as a daily form of entertainment.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening, and thanks to ZipRecruiter. We'll be back in 2 weeks.